This is another Blackboard Building Blocks for Newbies, NewbieCast, developing a building block from the ground up. Part 3, starting the building block. We've already done 2 parts. In the first part, we overviewed the type of building block that we were going to build and kind of explored various options for where we can enter that building block into the Blackboard Learn system. In the second part, we overviewed the development environment, the tools necessary to help with the debugging of the building block, and also the B2 starter kit. In this third part, we'll actually start to build our building block. We'll create a web project in Eclipse. We'll configure our manifest for our entry points that we decided upon. We'll set up JSP pages, although they won't be functional, but at least they'll work for those entry points. And then in the fourth step, we'll deploy our building block to our Blackboard server and test and verify that it works. Let's get into it. Here I am on my development server, and I have the Eclipse IDE open, and you can see I already have the B2 starter kit installed as a project. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to make another new project. Let's create our new project for our Quizlet building block. File, New, Other. We want a dynamic web project. There it is. We're going to call this B2 Quizlet. I'm not really good at naming things, so we'll just keep it as that. We're going to want to have a source folder. Looks good. Here we are. Next thing we want to do is go to the build path. And from this dialog, we would like to add in our external jars. In the Blackboard folder, you should be able to find these jars. You can see I'm in C Blackboard Apps Tomcat Lib. I'm going to need BBCMS Admin, BB Taglibs, BB Platform, and Servlet API. Click OK. Now that I have all 4 of them, I'm going to click Open. Now that I have the necessary references, it's time to start filling up my folders with content. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some things from the starter kit to make my life a little easier. Let's start by grabbing the VB manifest XML file. Copy that over. Let's open this up and start editing it. Now this manifest file has settings in it to configure your building block the way you want. So I have to go through all of these different settings and make them match up with what my Quizlet building block is going to do. Okay, now rather than watch me fill all this stuff in, I'm going to kind of pause this, edit this all, and then I'll discuss each of the sections. Okay, we're back, and through the magic of video editing, I was able to quickly and easily change all of these settings. Let me discuss these settings a bit at a time here and kind of explain what their purpose is. So in this first section here, I'm talking about the name of the building block and description and a version for that building block. In the next section, I outline the vendor of the building block. That's me. This HTTP Actions section controls the settings button next to the building block. For example, if you go here, you can see there's a settings button for this building block. That's set here. My building block has a content type handler. So this section of code here deals with that content type handler. I have a name, a handler value, and then on the create action, I want to call this script from the course folder. And I have some icons and some types. And then lastly is the application definition area, where this provides a link for the system tool portion of this building block. That's my manifest file. My BB manifest file outlines 2 entry points. One is for the content mashup building block here, course Quizlet content mashup JSP, and then the other one is for the system tool, system about JSP. I'll need both of those pages to complete my skeleton. I'm going to grab those pages as well as a generic error page from the starter kit. So in my starter kit, I have an error JSP. I'm going to bring that over. I'm also going to make a course folder. I'm also going to make system folder. In a system, I'm going to grab about. And finally, in the course folder, I'm going to grab course content mashup. Last thing I need to do is rename course content mashup to Quizlet content mashup. Now I have the basic structure for my B2 Quizlet project, but you can see that there's some red X's here that I'm getting in each of my scripts. Let's find out why. If you look, one of the things that I'm importing is the B2 context library, so I'll need to get that. This package can be downloaded from Ocelot, so conveniently enough, I've already gone to the URL here. I've already downloaded it. I'm going to show you how you would include it. The easiest way to do that is to just copy it out of the starter kit. So if I go to my web content lib folder, you'll see there it is. And I'm just going to copy that into my lib folder, B2 Quizlet. That should give me what I need. And importing that clears up the errors after I resave all the files. I have some dependencies here where I have a CSS file and I have an icon in the page title bar. I'm not going to worry about those right now because I want to show you what Firebug does when we get into the next screencast. But I do want to change some of these things around. This isn't the starter kit error page. This is going to be Quizlet building. I also want to change the about page around a bit. If you look through the about page, you'll notice that it uses the bundle. What I need to do now is, I guess what I'll do is I'll also rob this from the starter kit. In the starter kit, under bundles, there's a manifest. Take this and copy this bundles folder down into my Quizlet. Now, of course, these things don't match, so let me go through really quick and make these changes. Once again, through the magic of video editing, you didn't have to watch me type all this in, but these are the resource bundle properties that I want to use in my JSP pages. Now that I have these, I can go match them up to my JSPs. For example, if I go back and take a look at my about.jsp, you'll see I have plugin logo. That refers back to this in my resource bundle file. And if I take a look at the mashup page, if you look at the mashup page, I changed the title to Quizlet title. That matches Quizlet title here. The other thing I want to do is, this is all information that was part of the starter kit. It's really not useful for what we're trying to do here. Just take it all out. Put a nice to-do. Implement a form for entering required data. All right, let's see if we've done enough to be dangerous. It's time to build. And usually you would use an ant script, but I've done something a little more interactive. I've made what's called an auto-it script, so you can watch the process unfold manually before your very eyes over the screencast. And it also lets us see what happens on the web server when the starting block initiates the installation of the building block. So let's do this. I'm going to click this, and this is going to export this package as a WAR file, and then kick off the starting block, which is going to install it in Blackboard Learn. And I did this on purpose so that you can see this error. Whenever you see an error like this, and it's the starting block up here that's causing the error when it's trying to deploy your building block, most of the time it's going to be a problem with your BB manifest XML. This is one of the harder parts about building blocks, is getting this manifest XML exactly the way Blackboard needs it to accept your building block. So you can see I have this X here. I kind of staged this error by leaving off a quotation mark here. But there's lots of reasons why your BB manifest might cause an error in the deployment of your building block. Just wanted to point out that there's an error page that you see when the starting block tries to deploy it, and it's pretty useful to help you try and figure out what the problem is. But most of the time when you have a problem installing the building block, it's with the manifest. Let's try it again. Good. That worked. Let's go to Blackboard Learn. Let's see if our building block is there. Install tools. Quizlet building block. Let's see. I have two components. One of them is the administrator panel tool, and the other one is the custom content type. And if I also go to settings, this should fire up the about page. And it does. Beautiful. Now if I navigate into one of my courses, and go to my content area, when I go to the build content menu, over here you see Quizlet flashcard set as a mashup. When I click on that, I see my to-do, implement a form entering required data. That's my entry point for the building block. Why does it show up? Why does it show up here? It shows up here because of this section of the BB manifest XML file. Thank you for watching part 3. At this point, we now have our Quizlet building block with a basic skeleton of an about page and an entry point into our course for our content mashup. In this last and final section coming up, we'll implement the page that allows you to input a title and a Quizlet ID number, and then actually implements the mashup by creating the HTML content required by Quizlet. Okay, see you soon.